Hi, good afternoon. Today we're talking about insurance for RVs and also DIY builds. There are 5 insurance agencies that seem to be among the top in the industry. The first is an agency called Roamly, Roamly. They get the highest rating in this particular poll. You can sign up with a signature online. They have liability protection up to $50,000. They have personal effects coverage up to $5,000. And they cover everything from trailers to DIY projects. So Class A, B, and C, plus other things, all those things. And they're the only ones that I've come across that say that they'll insure DIY builds. Now, with a DIY build, you want to be sure that you meet their criteria for that. And that involves, I think there's 6 different things that you should have in a DIY build. And that would involve toilets and plumbing and stoves and those kinds of things. And you need to follow what they want or they won't insure it. So be sure that you check that out before you do either do it yourself DIY build, or you have somebody build something for you. You need to make sure that the insurance companies will insure it before you do that, so that you won't have a situation where you can't drive your car because you can't get insurance on it. So car, van, whatever. The second company is called Foremost, and they don't say anything about DIY. They will insure Class A to travel trailers, so the whole gamut, except probably for DIY, but you could ask. And then the third would be Progressive. They do travel trailers, fifth wheels, Class A's. I don't know about DIYs. You would have to ask them. Then the fourth would be National General. They do travel trailers to Class A. And then the last choice would be Safeco. And they do all of the above, most probably. But you need to reach out to them, call them, look online. You can look at policies, everything. You can do all of this online, I think. Now, in terms of things that you could ask for or look for, you have, first of all, agreed value. And that means that you and the insurance company come to an agreement about how much, the specific amount that they would pay if the vehicle is lost or stolen. There's also a disappearing deductible, wherein your deductible reduces your comprehensive and collision deductible over time if you keep a clean driving record, no tickets, no accidents. So that would be helpful. Some insurance companies will also pay emergency expenses. And that would be, if you've watched any of the people in RVs mostly, they all talk about how if your car breaks down or it needs repair, whatever, and you're without your home, so you have to make other arrangements. And some insurance companies will insure you for a certain, whatever their certain period of time it is, and pay for your expenses if you've agreed on that. It can be called trip interruption or emergency response. Then there's also full-time or liability insurance, and this provides personal bodily injury and property damage liability if you should get in some sort of an accident So that could be very helpful. Of course, everything that you add onto insurance policy, as you know, costs you more money. So need to consider carefully. There's also loan or lease protection. That will pay the difference due if your RV is rendered uninhabitable and you still have a loan on it. So insurance can pay the difference and get you out of that loan. So if you get in an accident and your RV is not habitable anymore, then that would come in very handy. I had a friend quite a few years ago now. His name was Owen, and he had an old RV, and he was living in California, and he was living in this old RV, which he really liked, and it had all the things that he needed, but it was quite old. I saw a photograph of it, and it was an ancient RV. So he's driving down the freeway, and something catches on fire in the engine, and he stood there and watched his home burn, and it was a total loss. And he happened to have a Suburban, which he parked somewhere, and so he moved into the Suburban, so he did have a place to live. However, then, and I told him about Instacart, so he was doing Instacart, but in a Suburban, the gas mileage, but anyway, it was providing him some income. And then he had a stroke, so that kind of ended all of that. And then he eventually did pass. So it's great to have insurance, which obviously he did not have. There's also roadside assistance insurance, part of, and that is really helpful, obviously, especially if you've got a big rig, that you have somebody that you can call and they will tow, and they also will, some offer fuel delivery and tire changes and jump starts. So all of those things could be very, very helpful. Of course, you're going to pay for that in the premium. A total loss replacement coverage, or on a Class A, well, not necessarily on all replacement coverage, but on the insurance on a Class A, the average cost for a year is about $1,150 presently. A Class B is about $1,000, and a Class C is about $900, just to give you some idea. So what you want to do, of course, is look at all the insurance companies and see what you can come up with. It is good to remember, if you're doing a DIY build, something where you're either doing it or having somebody build elements into the back of your vehicle, if you have like a minivan or a Ram ProMaster or any of those types of vehicles, you want to find out from the insurance company who says that they will insure that. They have criteria that involves toilets and electric and stoves and things that they would want or not want for you to have in your van. And there are ways to get around that, but you need to have them okay it beforehand, rather than having to go back later and try to fulfill whatever it is that they want in order to insure you. And if you travel part-time in a minivan and you have a no build, probably still a good idea to tell your insurance company about it, but I don't think, if there's nothing that's permanently attached and nothing taken out. For instance, if you just fold the seats forward in a minivan and you just have a bed or a chair bed that folds down, whatever, all those things can be put in and taken out. So you might want to have personal loss coverage for that vehicle, but I think that would obviously be a different situation. So lots to think about to do this responsibly, and as in my friend Owen's case, He did not have insurance. I think he had basic insurance. He must have, or he would not have been legal to be on the road, but he didn't have anything over and above that. And in his case, that ended up very badly for him. So, word to the wise, take care, God bless, and I will see you on the next one.